A little tea book. You must put this one on your list. Sebastian Beckwith is with me today. He is the preeminent tea authority and co-founder of In Pursuit of Tea, a purveyor of fine teas from around the world to some of the finest restaurants in the country. He divides his time between New York City, and Connecticut. We've had a great chat off air. You would have loved it. Welcome to the show, Sebastian.
Thank you, Robin. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I'm very excited to be here and excited about the book.
So excited about the book. I was telling Sebastian when I received the early copy, I knew immediately that we had to chat. And I do a lot of fiction on the show, certainly nonfiction and memoir and children's books and all. And when a topic catches my eye, and who doesn't want to talk about tea, I thought we have to do this. And I know so many of the Reading with Robin gang. I've done polls on my page, tea, coffee, cats, dogs, all the people fall into camps. And they were, crocheting, knitting, all these things, all of these really big world topics. And people would be so interested in this book. And it is out, it will be out when I post this. So it's out, and you've written it with Caroline Paul and illustrated by the wonderful Wendy McNaughton. I am such a fan. And this is just like the sweetest little, interesting, informative, fun to read. You've got all sorts of stuff in here book, and congratulations on your first book.
Thank you. It's been quite a process, but a fun process because of my collaborators mainly. They've done this many times before, so they know about the book world, and I'm slowly learning. Longer deadlines, things like that, but totally fun.
Yeah, deadlines are fun, right? Like,
they're long deadlines. It's like a year back, and then the book rolls around. So, but anyway, now I know, and we'll see. Maybe I can do another one day, or maybe this will just be it.
I always like to hear what that's like for the author to see the book, the final copy.
It is amazing because it's so different from the galley. The galley is great to see everything, not on a computer screen and linear thing, so it's interesting. But the paper and all of that, it's just sort of held together. And then when a real book shows up, Bloomsbury did an amazing job with the paper and the obviously illustrations. Wendy did a beautiful cover, and then it's just nice to hold in your hand, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that this will appeal to people who know a little bit about tea, want to know a little bit more, but I didn't want to do sort of a really complete encyclopedia, which, goes too deep. It's not what most people need to know. It's like you want to have some idea of the history, some idea of how to brew a good cup of tea, and, some of those nagging questions about tea that you've always sort of heard about and you're always confused, but maybe this will answer those.
It breaks it down. So I'm that kind of person. I fall into that camp. And so it's just such a delight to read. And as a book person, just a book lover, the feel of the pages is so important to me. That's why I don't understand people who read on the tablet or listen. I understand that there's a place for that. But it's luscious. And it's just a gorgeous book. And it's certainly, I always love giving books as a gift. And you can go to inpursuitoftea.com, and you have all sorts of gifts. And the book's also available on the website, right? Did I see that?
Yes.
Yes. So you can do that. And, just like pair it with some tea, and you've got, like, the perfect gift. You've got
exactly. That's what we're thinking.
We've done your shopping for you. I mean, it's like the perfect tea. And one of the things that I thought was interesting in reading the book is, all of the stuff that, the stuff that people want, and some of it that it sounds like is unnecessary, like the little tea ball that you put the leaves in, you say to skip that, right? Did I read that?
Yeah,
loose tea?
Too small. Just let the loose tea open up and expand to release the flavor. When you pack it in those little teaspoons with the perforations, and then you're cleaning up and there's still dry tea inside, you're not getting any flavor out of that. Much better to just make it in one mug and then use, like a spaghetti strainer and strain it into another mug after it's steeped. You're going to get a lot more flavor out of it.
So I can just empty out my drawers and make a whole bunch of room, and I can get all of things that I've collected on my journeys. Or I'm like, oh, this one thing. Yes, I think that's right there. If you learn nothing else from this book, you can add some space to your kitchen. And there were a lot of things. I mean, I didn't realize. When we talk about the plant, I didn't realize that all tea stems from one plant.
One plant, right? I know.
Didn't know.
I think in this country we're very used to calling all the herbals tea. But if we were somewhere else in Europe or elsewhere, they would really refer to them as tisanes or infusions. They're healthy to drink, but they're not technically from the tea plant.
You were saying, like a hot drink. I think you said I would call them a hot drink.
I think maybe it was Celestial Seasonings that made every hot beverage tea in this country.
The nighty-night, I think, is that what you wrote? The nighty-night.
Right. I mean, I think I'm always saying it's not mint tea, but my friends are like, just give it up. Let them call it mint tea.
Is that what happens? Right. You're the go-to guy. I mean, this is what one of the things that you know so well. So at some level you must just be like, okay.
I have to be accurate and, but I try not to, say it over and over. I think that some of the things and the guidelines in there are so beautifully illustrated by Wendy. And I should just say the book is a combination of my photographs and her drawings or sort of info sketches. She has a great way of taking information, as we've seen in many of her books, taking that information and presenting it graphically so that it's fun and it makes sense.
It's everything she draws I would wear on a T-shirt or carry around. And so the water temperature without a thermometer guide with the bubbles.
Right,
so
great,
brilliant.
right.
Oh, my God. Right. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And really fun.
And so the whole idea is to just make people a little more comfortable about it. I mean, there's many different ways to steep tea, and maybe if people know a little bit more, pay attention to your water temperature, pay attention to how you're steeping it and the leaves.
And what kind of water too? You say not tap, and should be filtered or bottled.
Well, it should
That's
just
not
be.
Something.
I mean, it really should just be good tasting water. And so whatever that means, wherever you live, it might be spring water, it might be a bottled water, it might be your tap water. It might be depends.
Right, that's true.
But if it's heavily chlorinated, then that's going to take a lot of flavor away from the tea.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think one way is for people to just try it. If you have heavily chlorinated tap water, make a cup of tea with it, and then make it side by side with one with bottled water. The best way to learn is when you taste it yourself.
Very good point. And everybody's tastes are different. And but then, of course, if you were out, would you say, oh, they've made this with the wrong water? I mean, what have you, what's it like serving tea to Sebastian Beckwith?
No, I'm not that tough. But it's true that people often are like, oh, I can't make you tea.
I would never make you tea. I would never.
No. I'm going to come up there and have you make me some tea. I think that'll be perfect.
Actually, challenge accepted. I will make you something. I will take it on as a challenge and learn, because we do have a lot of these things here because there are a lot of tea drinkers in the house. And I just also like the idea. I just see the word tea and it just connotes something to me, just like seeing a book. Or tea, it's just a mood, and it's such an uplifting sense. And these are the things in life that are so enjoyable. And again, reading this, and I'm on the phone with Sebastian Beckwith, his gorgeous little tea book, which is just out, all the essentials from leaf to cup, and it is written with Caroline Paul, illustrated by Wendy McNaughton. The illustration of selecting a tea by flavor, where she's got this tree. Did she know much about tea? Is she a tea drinker, or did you just educate her?
She's a tea drinker. She's a tea drinker and enjoys it, and we've been making her try many different types as we wrote the book. Send out a care package of okay, what do you think about these? Caroline and I have been on a couple tea adventures. I think we were in Laos early on in the 90s. 2002 or something, and then I think we went to Bhutan at one point. So she's a real adventurer and has been out and about.
Well, it all comes shining through in this book. I mean, it's a not-to-be-missed book, and people can go also to your website for more information. How did you get into tea? InPursuitOfTea.com is the website. What started you on your tea journey? Where does this passion come from?
I was sort of interested as a hobby, and I used to work as an adventure travel guide in Bhutan in the Himalayas.
Yeah,
so then
wow.
I would go over to Sikkim and Darjeeling after work, sort of, and spend a few days with friends over there. And I would just explore the regions of Darjeeling, going to the different gardens and tasting the teas, and it was fascinating. So that sort of set me on the path to start a little company with a friend in Brooklyn in 1999, and we're, touch wood, growing a little here and there, but we still mainly focus on single estate teas, unblended, single producers, and I spend a lot of time at Origin each year learning more and purchasing and stuff like that.
Well, all the things start in Brooklyn, that's for sure. So it's always fascinating to me how people get, and it's starting as an adventure travel guide. Wow. So you have great stories. There's going to be more books. I mean, you can't possibly fit them. And your photography, you mentioned earlier, is beautiful. So it's interspersed in the book.
Thank you.
Sebastian, gorgeous photography. I mean, I don't know how you're welcome, narrowed down which you wanted to use. It makes the story so complete, seeing this, really following the journey and learning about tea and just all of the components and the way different cultures share it. I mean, so talk about tea as because in terms of trade and the power it wielded and where it goes back to, a little of the history.
Well, it's interesting. Before you were talking about culture and tea and what it represents, and it's so interesting that every culture has like an incredible attachment to tea, whether that's Morocco with their mint and green tea, or it's Russia with the samovar, or it's China with their oolongs or pu'ers, or Japan or England, or everyone, maybe does it diametrically opposed from other cultures, but it's so strong and so ingrained in each culture that it's just sort of a great thing to explore and to go to these different regions and try to understand that. And, it is a great thing that, it's always offered when you go somewhere and you sit and you have a gathering in a way, an interaction, human interaction. And so that's sort of what I enjoy about, sharing it and meeting people over tea and learning about it.
There's nothing like that. I remember we had in Rhode Island many years ago welcomed people to the community who were here from Russia, and we brought gift baskets and we were welcoming them, and we brought the children, the whole thing, and the first thing they offered us was tea, and they gave us a little tray that we left with that, which I keep here. I never forget. We could barely speak to each other, but we communicated over this tea, and that was over 20 years ago, and 25 years ago, and it's just like a very wonderful memory, and it was just so clear what we were doing there, and they were welcoming us. They had just about arrived. They had very little, but they brought out their tea and their tea sets that they had brought with them. It was really very moving. Seeing this book evokes many feelings that, or like if you're not feeling well, you talk about that healing properties of tea, and is that a fallacy?
Yeah, I sort of pushed the health benefits to the side a little bit, saying, I'm drinking the tea because I'm enjoying it, and I'm purchasing the tea from farmers who are growing it in a good, clean way, and that's why I want to have it. It's great that many different health studies come out and say it's good for you and this and that, but, nothing is totally confirmed. It's have tea as part of a healthy diet and enjoy it and drink different ones. So often people say, "Oh, green tea is good for me, but I hate it and it's bitter and they have like really cheap tea bags." And that because it's good for them. And it's like, why don't you find a tea that you like the flavor of and enjoy that? It's not going to be that different in terms of levels of antioxidants or something.
I think that is very good advice, Sebastian. I know people will just like hold their nose and drink something that they think is
right. And it's like, it's
very
cheap,
interesting.
or it's this is a really inexpensive thing, so. Then you might as well just take a tablet and not bother.
Exactly. Right. Why do that? You can go to assertivetea.com and get the good stuff. I mean,
get the good stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. Why not get the good stuff if you're going to spend time drinking it or preparing it and all of that? So, do you wince when you see a tea bag? Does that hurt your heart a little?
No. I mean, I think it's you can certainly put good tea in a tea bag. It's not often done. From economics reasons, but it's much more fun. We buy from small producers, and the production lot that we buy this year will be different in May 5th to May 8th. It'll be different, different flavor. And so the fun of what we do is tasting many of those and then deciding on one. And as I said before, we don't blend. Larger companies blend for consistency so that it always tastes the same. And so we sort of don't want it to taste the same. We want you to understand, wow, the Assam that I got from them last year was a little maltier or was a little sweeter or something like that. So we want people to pay attention and know that these are agricultural products. If there's bad weather, let's not buy the tea from there.
Well, it's like wine, right, I guess. That's what it feels like. It was a good year or it was a good week or a good day, whatever it was.
Right, exactly. Yeah, wine's like one year and tea is many times.
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating also the way you speak to being connected to what it is that you're drinking or eating and the people that are growing this and producing it and earning livelihoods and all of it. It's so much, it brings it down to its essential core. And in these drawings that Wendy has and in your photography, it all makes, it just all makes for such a beautiful story from the beginning. And I'm chatting with Sebastian Beckwith, his book, A Little Tea Book. His Little Tea, I want to keep saying your Little Tea Book, but I want people to get the title correct. A Little Tea Book, all the essentials from leaf to cup, with Caroline Paul, you've written it with, and illustrated by Wendy McNaughton. It's just, it's a gorgeous book, and I found out so many, I've all these little notes. If you want to quiz me, but no. Don't quiz me.
When I come up, I'm going to quiz you. And you're making
I'm going to make the tea. That will be the quiz. Can she make the tea? But no, you can quiz me. And matcha. Can you speak to matcha a little? That's everywhere, right? Matcha. Yeah.
Matcha is such a buzzword these days.
Right.
Like many things in the tea world, there are no accepted definitions across different countries. So matcha to me means something that's produced from an 11th generation family who's been doing it outside of Kyoto, Japan for many, many years, refining it, making an incredible product. But it can also be just some ground up green tea that is not cultivar specific, that is not covered from the sun for 3 weeks before it's harvested. It's not deveined and ground to an incredibly fine powder. So there's a lot of distinction between different types. I think that's always the difficulty with what I do with the tea industry is you can say Assam tea, that it could be a very good Assam tea or it could be a very lousy Assam tea. And these are agricultural products. We deal with many commodities, so there's a lot of, lower-end stuff, some middle-end stuff, and a little bit of really amazing stuff. So we sort of have to figure out where we want to enjoy the tea. Sometimes it's just in a cup in the morning to go, and you just need some caffeine, and you're not paying attention to the nuance. And sometimes you want to sit in the afternoon and really enjoy the tea and understand where it's from and have multiple infusions of the same leaf. So it all depends on how you're enjoying it.
It's so lulling to listen to you talk about it. Also, I'm just enjoying this so much. I saw you wrote also about mistakes restaurants make, commonly made errors in the tea preparation.
Yeah, it's interesting that most coffee people will go to a cafe that makes coffee well and enjoy a good cup there, whereas most tea people will enjoy tea at home because restaurants don't make it well.
Interesting.
And the problems are the same that people would have, in that the water temperature is maybe not hot enough it would be perfect for the green tea, which likes a little lower water temperature, but it wouldn't be hot enough for the rest of the teas. The teaware won't be preheated, so it'll bring the temperature down even lower. They may not rinse them out. They might have some cold water in them from before. They might smell a little bit of mint from the night before, or this or that. I've seen lots of mistakes, and it's not difficult if you just pay attention and you're mindful. But sometimes when the barista has 4 cappuccinos and 8 teas and slammed, it might be the thing that
goes right.
Yeah,
the thing that is right off to the side. That is a crazy situation set up, and I never know what to do when I'm even trying to. I can't.
Right.
Like, I want that. I lose my whole sense of vocabulary when pushed to the task. I don't know even what the cup is called. I just feel like I'm stuck in an SNL skit or something. It's just it's overwhelming. But yeah,
we work with a lot of restaurants, and so I'm commonly training the staff.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Know something about it to prepare it and stuff like that. And so that's sort of what this book came out of. It's I have 10 minutes or a half an hour or an hour with the staff, and this is basic information that I want people to know, just to be comfortable with, to know about tea. And so many times when you go to a restaurant, they will say, "Okay, would you like some coffee with your dessert?" And that's where I'm selling my product.
Right, or would you like some tea? And it's both.
Well, they usually don't even ask if you want the tea. And then if you ask them for tea, then they go, "Oh, yeah, we have English breakfast and Earl Grey and green and chamomile." It's like, "Oh, can you tell me about the green tea?"
It's green.
Okay. So
it's good for you.
If the people that are in the hospitality professionals, if they are comfortable with and know a little bit about the teas that they have, they've tasted them, and I've spent some time with them, it's just a much better situation for everyone.
It all starts with education, and I like that you have some recipes in here as well, and the timeline that Wendy's drawn, it would appear that the last book about tea was written in 1906, and then today, yours, so it's perfect. It was time for a new book.
Right, exactly.
I mean, how
she
awesome.
did an amazing job with the
Oh, my God, this timeline is crazy interesting. It's just fascinating. It starts with a big bang. So now, of course, I'm picturing Sheldon drinking his tea. And it goes on. There's so many. It's a little book, but it's packed with so much interesting, creatively done. You can read little bits of it, put it down, pick it up, put it out. It's like the kind of book you just want to have out if you just feel like reading a little something, and then you can impress people at an event when they say, "What's new?" You can say, "Well, I have some information about tea you may not know," and it goes from there because it's a universal language, and it's a little tea book. And Sebastian Beckwith, I am looking forward to preparing some tea for you, at least having a laugh, for sure. And sharing this beautiful book.
That's the thing. Don't take it too seriously.
Go to Sebastian's site, inpursuitoftea.com, and see what's going on there. And a nod to your dad, you were telling me off there, this beautiful logo of this teapot. It's from you found in your dad's stash. Is that what? Are there more? Is there more?
An old sketchbook, yeah. So we made it into the logo, and it works pretty well.
It's fabulous, and this was such a treat. I am very excited to share this, and I will be in touch. Sebastian Beckwith, A Little Tea Book. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin. It was a pleasure to talk with you about tea, and I look forward to seeing you.